I need to do my intro. What is happening with my bow right now? Gosh.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't mind me. Like, oh, we are live. Oh, 6 seconds in. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. We are here at Evansville Horror in Indiana. I am here with the fantastically talented author Kim Ann Schultz, who is the author of Netherium and Gothic, who you've probably seen on the Moths to the Flame podcast before. So tell our listeners what you're here selling today.
Thank you, Marie. First of all, it is so cool that we partnered up for this. And this is a direct result from us having a super fun time when we did the first podcast.
Which was fun.
And so now here we are, and it's fabulous
Yes.
because we're also feeding off of each other in this energy, and it's like super cool.
Fun.
So
bringing people over to our tables, selling books like wildfire. Awesome.
Yeah, so I have my two books. They are complementary to each other as well. And then I also have the other story that I had written, which is a Jacob Marley rest of the story, Jacob a denouement in one act. And the version that I have here is the hardcover edition. I had done a series of 1,000 copies of those some years ago, and what's left is being sold out here and in the next probably months or a year or so.
Yeah. So anytime you're at a con and you see Kim Ann, you're going to be like, I need Gothic, I need Netherium, I need Jacob Marley, the coolest ghost of all time. So
I love everything.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then, of course, you guys know I am out here selling T is for torture, because what kind of horror conference would it be if we didn't have a little torture and trauma for the children? Okay.
Absolutely.
And then if true crime is more your thing, we're selling S's for serial killers. And then also my mothlings, you will know, you listeners know that I have Crimson Cobblestones debuting June the 9th. And so I'm telling everybody the scandal, the sex, the cults, the serial killers, all the exciting shit. So letting everybody know about that. And we've got prizes, we've got contests, there's cosplayers around, there's celebrities. I mean, this is such a cool event. So what have you felt like has been the coolest part of Evansville HorrorCon?
I would have to say that the few minutes that I have spent talking with most everyone, in particular a few people who have bought the books, there have been such a big batch of connection points in terms of what it is they love or like, or somebody who has a library with the horror reading group and they're wanting to grow their list. And I'm like, I will come and participate when you do it. Let's get together and go from there. And so it feels very serendipitous.
Yes.
What's happening here, because it is absolutely, when they use the term horror community, it really is a community.
Oh my gosh.
And there is a certain level of understanding and looking into the dark, and you're seeing so much through what we write. And then also just commonality with the people that's like really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And just seeing when people come, like fans are coming up that have seen our work before, they're excited to know who we are in person, or they've seen our stuff on social media, you know, or they are just from across the room. We've tried to have lots of lights, lots of exciting stuff going on here to bring people over, but then it's the making the connections that makes it count.
Absolutely.
And that's why we do this. I think it's so much fun to get out and be with people and share our love of the gruesome stuff and the traumatic stuff and the creepy, spooky, you know, stuff that puts us into that weird category. But we're not weird. We're like the coolest, best, you know, a group of people ever, I feel like. So that's just my opinion, but you know. So we've met lots of new people that are a little newer to the horror genre too, that this is their first con that they've come to. And I think that is super fun that they've had. I had a couple of people come up that were covered in horror tattoos, and they're like, we've never been to one of these before. I was like, join the party. This is so much fun. So
the interesting thing is horror has been often classified as sort of a subgenre or an off-genre, but it is every bit as classic and time-honored and on point to life and everything we as humans deal with as any other genre. And so it is growing again in droves. And using an oft-used term, mainstream, certainly mainstreaming in terms of the generational draw and the spectrum of people who are super into this and who are also getting it, and also for us as writers on the literary side, which is just really cool.
Yeah. Well, and I love too that, so we're not at a horror writing specific conference.
Exactly.
We are at a horror con that has, I mean, makeup and special effects and home decor and games and masks, and like they have all been so welcoming and excited about the literary pieces that we're bringing, because there aren't many authors here. And so that when they're like, oh my gosh, do you have horror books? Like, that's so cool. You've got spooky books for kids. That's so cool. You got poetry. That's so cool. So I love that it's just everyone's lifting each other up, and everybody's like wanting success for each vendor that's out here, which is super, super fun. So I have to say that I'm super surprised by the turnout that we've had today, because
it's been great.
Wow. Like, you know, we've done a few cons and sometimes it's popping, sometimes it's a little slower, but today I mean, it has been constant. We haven't been able to leave our booths.
Oh, not even a single step. And I've had to do the math. Okay, on the books, what did I sell today? What do I have on hand tomorrow? I need to go dig up the absolute last copies I have on hand. Get the cards lined up, and hopefully we will just clean our tables completely.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. I mean, that's what we're here. And I was like, manifest, we're going to sell all of our books out. And, you know, I think that's been fun, but we've made so many more connections with people, just being able to talk with them in person. That means more than anything, but we love to sell our books out too. So, you know what? I would love to show your t-shirts that you have. You have the beautiful, beautiful t-shirts that go along with Gothic and Netherium. And so talk about these. You have these locally made, very cool.
So the cover art to these books, and I will get the corresponding cover. The cover art is done by a fellow who calls himself on social media Roberto Diaz. And I have now been, let's call it pen pals, for a few years, and he graciously let me use his artwork. Very simple deals were struck, and so now I am venturing into doing some wearables with it. It's a little bit of a subtle look, but it is a cool way to wear the art, and a cool, let's call it dark aesthetic.
Yes.
Which of course works for everyone. And I always have said, when in doubt, wear black. Because everybody looks good in black.
That's right. It's thinning, it's Gothic, it's spooky, but it also kind of fits into that dark academia trend.
Totally.
That is such a vibe right now, resonating with all age groups.
Yes.
And I think that's so cool. And that's something that horror as a genre resonates with all age groups. You know, we've had little bitty kids here dressed up in cosplay, and they're like, I just watched my first scary movie the other day and I love it, you know. And then we've had elderly folk that have come by and they're like, we live for this shit, we love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's so fun, that it's a community that is inclusive. It's a community that's diverse, a community that is accepting, and it's not, you know, people aren't going to come in here and make fun of everyone else. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. I really love that. And so that's, if you have not ever been to a horror con, I highly encourage you to get out and do it, because it's such a great experience. Even just as, you know, being able to walk around as a patron and see all the cool stuff that creatives are putting out there.
Yeah.
I just love that.
As far as the generational thing goes, Face Off has a presence here too. And I want to add, because we're both parents, and my youngest and my oldest are also horror fans, and my youngest in particular, my daughter, basically cut her teeth on Face Off. We would watch the shows because that's a great way to introduce a kid to the lore, to the look, and to the gore.
Yes, the lore and the gore.
The lore and the gore. And the cool thing is you really you become acclimated to the extent that then you begin to appreciate the real aesthetics behind it, which is also the artistry that makes some of this happen. Because shock value has to have an impact on a lot of levels to work. And that includes something as elegant as, let's say, Victorian Gothic. It includes something as outrageous as, let's say, a dismemberment on screen.
Body horror.
And body horror. And to then appreciate it for the workmanship that goes behind it also enhances your appreciation just as a consumer.
Yeah.
then as it turns out, my daughter is now in college. She ended up writing a paper not terribly long ago about expressing the horrific on stage. And it's like, wow, this is so cool.
Yes.
All of a sudden it becomes integrated into thought process. And I think also greater understanding of people.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and that's something too. I was joking with someone that came up to the table. We were talking about how horror makes us think about ways to stay safe, you know, because there are so many actual shitty people out in the world that are wanting to do harm, you know, and so you become a little more aware of your surroundings, and you have a better understanding of the human psyche and how sometimes that's good and sometimes that's with nefarious intentions. And so it really helps us to be able to really understand how to be safe, right?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of an eyes wide open without it being based on fear.
Yes.
It's about not being afraid to look.
Yes, absolutely. And we are looking all around here at Evansville HorrorCon. So today the conference ends at 6 p.m. So we're just about to closing, but then tomorrow we will be here until 5 p.m. So I believe it opens up at 10 a.m. Is that correct tomorrow? And then going until 5 p.m. So we will be here the whole day, excited and wanting to chat with you, wanting to have you share this experience of a HorrorCon with us and check out our books and make some new friends. So any other advice you want to give our watchers for today?
Stop by, say hi, and let's keep bringing horror into the big, broad mainstream, because it's absolutely deserving of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Mothlings, let's fly to the flame. We'll see you again tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.